Breaking tonight, Donald Trump is pausing new 50% tariffs on Canada.
We all expect that this may go down to the wire.
The U.S. president says the extension will last for 3 days pending a new deal. What we know about the state of negotiations. Meta faces a new trial and accusations it is deliberately trying to get kids addicted.
Meta has designed and deployed a dangerous product with dangerous features.
The potential penalty and the tech giant's response.
Looking for three. Gets it.
And the biggest star in women's basketball makes her Canadian debut.
The WNBA would not be where it is today without Caitlin Clark.
But all that hype comes with heat.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. We begin with breaking news. We have confirmation from the White House and Ottawa that an agreement has been reached between Canada and the U.S., one that will pause the 50% tariffs that have been hanging over Canada for weeks. The announcement coming first from Donald Trump, less than 2 hours before those new tariffs were set to begin. Now, the U.S. president says the two sides just need to finalize what he is calling a deal. Tonight, our team is covering it all, from what is being said in Washington, how Ottawa is responding to the White House, and how Canadian businesses are reacting. So let's begin in Washington, where this news first emerged. That is where Kate McKenna is right now. Kate, can you take us through what the leaders are saying?
Well, as you mentioned, Donald Trump says there's a new deal between Canada and the U.S. Canada's prime minister isn't going that far. Mark Carney says progress has been made, but there's more work to be done. Both leaders do agree a new slate of tariffs are postponed for at least 3 days. This was made public less than 2 hours before those 50% tariffs were supposed to take effect on some $28 billion in Canadian exports. Trump broke the news in his usual bombastic way, posting on Truth Social, saying, "I have paused the 50% tariffs against Canada that were scheduled to kick in tomorrow morning for a 3-day period based on the fact that Canada and the USA, subject to the finalization of documents, have a deal. The great Keystone XL pipeline, long ago killed by sleepy Joe Biden, may be awoken from the grave. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump." Now, if working together on Keystone XL is part of a new agreement, that means further energy cooperation with the United States, and that is one of the things the U.S. wanted in a deal. The Keystone XL pipeline has a long history. It was supposed to run from Alberta to the U.S. Gulf Coast refineries. It was canceled in 2021 when former U.S. President Joe Biden revoked its permit after years of Indigenous and environmental opposition.
So, Kate, this post from Trump was followed by a presidential proclamation. What did it say?
Well, it confirms that the tariffs are being delayed by at least 3 days. It also claims Canada is willing to concede on the major irritants that spurred these new tariffs. Trump was pushing for putting U.S. booze back on provincial shelves, ending retaliatory measures on autos, and allowing equal market access to Canadian dairy as the EU currently has. But Canadians will be wondering, what is in the fine print? Is this the comprehensive deal Canada wanted, and what is the Canadian side giving up? These are all the details we're going to be looking for when something formal is released.
Yeah, those are the big questions. All right, Kate McKenna in Washington. Thank you. So let's head to Ottawa now and Ashley Burke. So Ashley, we now have this statement from the Prime Minister's office. What does he say?
Adrian, Prime Minister Mark Carney said substantial progress has been made, although there is important work still to be done, adding, while we continue this work, Canada remains focused on building a stronger, more independent and more competitive economy at home. Now, he has said that this is the way to be in a strong position at the table and that he's been preparing for all possible scenarios. We know the government has been working on a plan to respond if Trump hits Canada with these new tariffs, and likely still will be, since at this point, this is only a 3-day pause. A Canadian source told me earlier tonight that the government has been looking at a range of options, including possible retaliatory tariffs. Several members of Mark Carney's advisory committee were calling for retaliation if a deal wasn't reached.
So the reality is what the U.S. views as retaliation can often be the very leverage that Canada needs to build up in order to be able to get a fair deal against these attacks. We cannot just sit by and have the U.S. Wallop us over the head with tariff after tariff after tariff.
She warned earlier today that Canada can't just take it and give concessions, or the hits will keep on coming.
And other than retaliatory tariffs, what's a range of options the government's been considering?
Well, earlier this summer, the Prime Minister said that he didn't see the value in holding back energy exports to the U.S., including Alberta's oil, because it's important for Canada to be known as a reliable supplier. A member of his advisory committee, Aaron O'Toole, said that they need to look at options that don't hurt national unity or Canada's economy, like potentially bringing back the digital services tax that Donald Trump does not like. But how the government responds will really depend on if Trump still hits Canada with new tariffs after that pause.
Indeed. All right. Thank you, Ashley. That's Ashley Burke in Ottawa tonight. So let's go right to Peter Armstrong. Thanks for coming in, Peter. Reaction from Canadian businesses tonight.
I've literally got my phone on the desk, and I'm hearing from them, and you probably heard their giant heaving sigh of relief across the country.
That's what that sounds
when
like.
this came out. But they still got plenty of questions. As both Kate and Ashley have said, any deal involves compromise. As we get those details, that relief is going to shift to anxiety about what it took to get this deal across the finish line.
So as we've heard, Donald Trump says, he's pausing these tariffs for 3 days. So for businesses, this doesn't clearly mean that a crisis is averted, just sort of delayed.
For the moment. And that's the concern, right? Because these tariffs were very specifically designed to squeeze businesses, to squeeze industries, to squeeze regions and provinces as well. And remember, the Canadian economy was weak coming into this trade war. It was made weaker by the first round of tariffs. It would have been made weaker by this second round. And yes, the Canadian economy, we've talked about this before, has been more resilient than I think a lot of people had expected. But you were going to add in this new round of tariffs, a new layer of uncertainty, a new layer of costs. That's going to add up. And it's, we were looking at like a 0.5% hit to Canadian GDP, which doesn't sound like much, Adrian. But, you shave a half point off Canadian GDP, it's not like we were in excess. That would take us all the way back to 0% growth, struggling, flirting with a recession, no job growth, a real economy that's in crisis. So that heaving sigh of relief is important, but as I say, starting to replace with anxiety.
And what's your sense of whether Canadian businesses could actually survive with any new tariffs?
So different industries, different sectors have different approaches on that. I think the softwood guys were expecting some kind of a tariff. The steel guys were hoping they'd be able to avoid it altogether. The auto industry has said, look, the tariff being proposed by the American side was bigger than our profit margin. So it simply wasn't workable. All of that is coming into the conversation now as when we start to get the information about what level are we looking at for each of those individual industries.
Okay, a pause, crisis not yet averted, but a pause is welcome for so many. All right, Peter Armstrong, thank you.
Yeah,
for
you
that.
bet.
So that pause we just talked about on tariffs, clearly good news for some Canadian businesses, but this is still a waiting game for those already hit by tariffs. She and Desjardins now on their calls for relief and how they've been trying to cope so far.
Rahim Molu felt the blow to his steel business in Toronto early on. The mere idea of stiff tariffs on steel, enough to shut down all his exports south of the border.
Overnight, distributors that we've been doing business with for over 10 years called us up and told us they couldn't do business with us because the climate was too volatile.
His industry was first hit about 16 months ago, but even before the U.S. tariffs were fully implemented, Conquest Steel had already lost about 20% of its business.
It was a shock for sure, and it's tough to have it evaporate right away.
Of course, it's not just steel. Auto and aluminum manufacturers have all faced hefty tariffs for more than a year. Now, with another threat from the Trump administration, many are calling for some form of relief.
The status quo is not sustainable over the long term.
Tariffs have cost auto manufacturers in Canada about $5 billion, he says. Regardless of what comes next, the damage is already done.
The idea that we'll be able to enter into a long-term trade agreement with stability, I think those days are probably behind us. And so we always are going to have to live with a level of uncertainty. That's just the unfortunate reality that we're in.
And tariffs don't always work as the Trump administration intends. The cost of aluminum spiked in the U.S. As the conflict with Iran impacted supply, it's still importing from Canada.
These tariffs have not impacted our primary production industry as they have on other sectors.
Molu says he's willing to return to the U.S. market one day.
I do hope that there is progress made and we are working towards a resolution and we can rebuild that relationship.
If that's not the case, he says he can still get by. The support from Canadians, enough for him to keep building here. Chien Deschardins, CBC News, Toronto.
In Quebec tonight, a shift in position from the Parti Québécois ahead of the fall election. Its leader now says if he becomes premier, he will not hold a referendum on the province's independence so long as Donald Trump is in power.
Given the unusual circumstances in the U.S., we will choose intelligently the best moment for a discussion on our future.
Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon previously promised a vote in his first mandate. He now says he wants to avoid the issue being, quote, hijacked by American politics. The decision is getting some mixed reviews.
It's pretty bizarre the way he positioned himself now, because what Quebec's need right now is a strong leader.
It's all about strategy. It's as long as Trump is in power, federal politics and strong Canada is going to be, I guess, more popular than a separated Quebec.
Trump's second term as U.S. president ends in January of 2029. The PQ is currently leading in the polls in Quebec. Election day is set for October the 5th. To Alberta now, where Canadian researchers are warning of foreign efforts to influence that province's separatism debate. As Brian Labby shows us, Russians and Americans are spreading divisive messages online, further fueling tensions over Alberta's place in Canada.
They're seceding and creating an independent state.
Foreign actors inserting themselves in Alberta's separatism debate.
But if ever there was a people that needed liberation from a government that hates them, it's the Canadians, of course.
Overt examples of U.S. right-wing influencers weighing in. Also, an alleged covert campaign uncovered by Canadian researchers using AI. They found websites linked to Russian operators spreading misinformation.
We're talking of thousands of articles every week.
Content that can spread on Canadian social media, often without users knowing where it came from. Some recurring narratives, a rigged referendum, Ottawa's deliberate exploitation of Alberta's resources. Separation is the only solution to resolve Albertans' grievances.
Some of them are very closely aligned to the Russian government, like RT, but then there are a number of proxies that are been described by the State Department and our Global Affairs as active agents or basically mouthpieces for the Russian government.
Canada's new Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner has promised more transparency around outside influencers.
Will we be asking Americans, our erstwhile allies, to be part of that foreign influence registry?
Of course. Yes, we would be asking them.
One Canadian disinformation expert says Canada's spy agency should do more, and so too should politicians.
The Canadian government can, number one, focus on further pressuring social media sites to moderate the type of misinformation happening and targeting Canadians.
In a statement to CBC News, CSIS says any instance where a foreign state actor or proxy might seek to use covert or obfuscated means to divide Canadians, amplify false narratives, or deceptively interfere in domestic political processes would be of concern, and CSIS would investigate. That said, Canada's spy agency wouldn't confirm any investigation details. What is certain, Albertans will go to the polls in October. That's when voters will decide whether to take the province one step closer to a binding vote on separation. Brian Labby, CBC News, Calgary.
There's some welcome progress tonight in BC's wildfire fight. Thousands of people from Summerland are finally allowed to return home. But as John Hernandez shows us, for many, the relief is tempered by what might be waiting for them.
We've got a house, we're fine, everything's fine, and we get to go home.
After days of turmoil and uncertainty, the vast majority of Summerland's 12,000 residents cleared to return home. after fleeing a dangerous wildfire nearly 2 weeks ago.
I haven't been in yet. I know I have a yard waste bin on my counter that's been there, and I'm not looking forward to that at all.
For some, relief giving way to heartbreak as it becomes clearer what's still standing and what's not. At least 150 structures damaged or destroyed.
Rapid damage assessments are being finalized right now. The regional district is reaching out to affected homeowners individually to be able to share this news. It's absolutely devastating to learn that you've lost your home.
More than 500 properties in the area remain under an evacuation order. Thousands more on alert as smoke remains thick throughout the region. 800 wildfire fighters are on the front lines in BC, but the province expects to slowly start sending international crews home as long as conditions hold up.
That can change within 48 hours. So if we anticipate that we're not going to see the potential for precipitation that we might see a little bit this weekend, if we don't see it, then we may need to call in some additional support.
The BC blazes in part fueling another devastating wildfire season in Canada. The flames exploding rapidly since July, growing from 1.4 million hectares burned to more than 4 million.
So we know that we're still in the heart of the wildfire season. We know that climate change is contributing to disasters such as wildfires and the intensity and severity and frequency. And we are committed to taking action.
Hot and dry conditions are expected to stick around across much of Canada through September, meaning risk remains high in the weeks ahead. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
The UK's new Prime Minister is making it clear his support for Ukraine will not waver amid new threats from Russia.
We are not fair weather friends. We will be there in Ukraine's hour of need, and that won't change.
After media reports that Ukraine used British-made drones to conduct long-range strikes inside Russia, Moscow set its sights on London, warning its involvement in the war will lead to, quote, consequences. Well, there are other warnings, new ones, about the record-breaking Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The head of the World Health Organization saying the virus is still at risk of spreading to other nearby countries. Lauren Pelly now on what is causing that concern.
The death toll in the Democratic Republic of Congo is soaring. Ebola has claimed the lives of more than 2,300 people, making this the deadliest outbreak in the country's history.
One of my engineers went to some of the village, told, I think they were only left 2 people. The whole village of 100 people is gone.
Driving the spread is the Bundibugyo strain of the virus, which has no approved vaccines or treatments. This aid worker says the crisis could get worse as children in Congo head back to school next month.
So we are worried, damn worried, because the water and sanitation infrastructure in schools is not available.
There have been more than 5,000 confirmed cases, plus close to 20,000 contacts under follow-up across 6 provinces in Congo, as aid workers face ongoing conflict, civil unrest, and a lack of trust from the public.
People who are getting sick are not actively presenting themselves to doctors, hospitals, healthcare workers, community health workers, etc., because they're scared. They're seeing half of these people go in and they're not coming out.
The head of the World Health Organization warns the risk does not stop at the DRC's borders.
This is a real possibility that it spreads to, for example, South Sudan or back into Uganda or to new provinces. And that whole area might just be like a frontier for Ebola.
Uganda stamped out a small outbreak earlier this summer, while South Sudan is now mobilizing aid workers and shoring up surveillance at checkpoints.
We must do everything in our preparedness to prevent Ebola from entering South Sudan.
Vaccines targeting the outbreak's Bundibugyo strain are being studied, including here in Canada, but it could be months or years before anything is ready, leaving Central Africa without a crucial weapon to fight this devastating virus. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Tech giant Meta goes on trial over children's safety online.
Meta has designed and deployed a dangerous product with dangerous features.
How it could upend some of the biggest social media platforms next. The WNBA's biggest star is in Toronto.
It just went from, a slow uphill climb to then all of a sudden a speed train because everybody wanted to follow the narrative of Caitlin Clark.
We look at the spotlight and the scrutiny on Caitlin Clark. Plus, the Canadian golfer behind this shot.
I just really didn't know what to do or say, but I kind of freaked out.
His hole-in-one in our moment. We're back in 2 minutes. Those are first responders arriving at the scene of a school shooting in the southern Philippines. Officials say a student live streamed himself killing another student before taking his own life. This is the second deadly shooting in the Philippines at schools this summer. Back in June, 3 students were killed at another high school. Well, OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, is rolling out a new version of the app that is meant for teens as it faces mounting scrutiny over the chatbot's potential risks. Added features include restrictions on conversations about topics like violence and self-harm. It can also send parents safety notifications, and there's a study mode that would guide teens to problem solve on their own. Well, lawyers for Meta, the makers of Facebook and Instagram, are pushing back against accusations the company deliberately hooks kids and then harvests their data. It's on trial in the U.S., facing off against a group of states. Michelle Song shows us what happened on day one.
It's a legal fight over youth safety online, possibly changing how Facebook and Instagram operate, with potential damages of hundreds of billions of dollars.
Mr. Zuckerberg himself chose profits over the safety of children.
Meta, the company behind the social media platforms, is being sued by multiple states, accused of designing its apps to be addictive for young people and violating federal and state laws by collecting the personal data of its youngest users without their parents' permission.
Meta has designed and deployed a dangerous product with dangerous features that they knew would create excessive use and compulsive use by children.
In a statement, Meta says the claims against it are unsubstantiated, adding, "We stand by our record of creating strong protections for teens."
When my daughter was struggling, it became Meta's bottom line.
Parents who allege their kids took their own lives because of the mental health impacts of social media protested outside the courthouse. One mother read a passage from her daughter's diary.
Nobody is going to love me unless I look the part. I look at other girls' profiles and it makes me feel worse.
Meta has lost 2 legal battles over how its platforms target youth earlier this year. In this case, attorneys general want the court to force the company to add age restrictions and eliminate infinite scrolling.
If the states and other plaintiffs continue to win these initial cases, it really strengthens the likelihood that there'll be federal legislation on social media usage.
In Canada, Meta and other tech companies are being sued by several Ontario school boards for allegedly harming young people. As for the U.S. case, it's set to last 6 to 8 weeks. CEO and founder Mark Zuckerberg is expected to testify. Michelle Song, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC News has learned an instructor at a summer hockey camp previously pleaded guilty to assaulting children.
Parents are entitled to expect a safe system. They are not expected to become private investigators.
The calls for tougher background checks next. And a bison herd is reintroduced to one Saskatchewan community.
I'm so excited for the future, and I'm excited for our young ones to really learn about the importance of the buffalo.
We look back at the emotional homecoming for Star Blanket Cree Nation. That's coming up.
Scotiabank Arena for the hometown Toronto Tempo. Indiana will take this one, their 5th straight.
Ouch. The losing streak continues for the WNBA's Toronto Tempo tonight, dropping their 11th game in a row to the Indiana Fever. A nearly sold-out crowd of 20,000 fans packed Toronto's Scotiabank Arena. Many there to catch a glimpse of Indiana superstar Caitlin Clark playing her first game in Canada since the Tempo debuted earlier this year. Well, Caitlin Clark is drawing a lot of attention for the WNBA, but as Jamie Strachan tells us, not all of it is good.
You've probably heard of Caitlin Clark. 22 has done it again! The sharpshooting superstar has almost single-handedly boosted the reach and profile of the WNBA.
And it is good.
Bringing more eyeballs to games on TV and attracting fans who never before gave the league a second thought.
Long three from Caitlin. Oh my goodness.
The WNBA would not be where it is today without Caitlin Clark. It just went from, a slow uphill climb to then all of a sudden a speed train because everybody wants to follow the narrative of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is back after being limited. Caitlin Clark with...
The attention and scrutiny has, this season, not always focused on wins and losses, layups, or defensive lapses.
So much of the WNBA is not about actual basketball.
I think this league has a problem.
But instead on a never-ending series of soap opera-like storylines that have thrust the league into the 24-hour news cycle.
The season has been marked by incredible leaps and bounds, sort of progression, quality of play on the court that has been totally overshadowed by this sort of political culture wars off the court and online.
A couple of heated games and some rough plays this week have sparked a new controversy in the WNBA around superstar Caitlin Clark.
Growing divide over what the WNBA called a flagrant foul.
Clark has been front and center, not always by choice. Take this incident involving Clark and the Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas.
I mean, Caitlin to the ground and ooh.
It was seized upon as another example of Clark as the victim in a league full of players who resent her, and who many said cheap-shotted and roughed up Clark, treating her with a degree of physicality not fit for a superstar player.
I want to talk about Caitlin Clark.
Even members of Congress weighed in.
Since joining the professional ranks 3 years ago, Caitlin has been the subject of very unfair treatment on the basketball court.
It's really bizarre to me because I feel like this is the first time that I can remember in professional sports where you have the significant community of fans of one player saying, please take it easy on her because we want them to do well.
Those who follow the game closely and played it say Clark's treatment is part of the rough and tumble tradition of the women's game that may be surprising and uncomfortable for some.
Basketball is an insanely physical sport. Like, you're gonna get an elbow to the chin, to like wherever, or a knee to someplace. That's literally just the game. And I don't think people are also used to seeing women in such a physical sport. Now that they're paying closer attention, women are way more physical. Well, women will like a way more physical of a game.
The Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas appears to put her fist on Caitlin Clark's throat.
The other uncomfortable conversation that followed the incident focused on race and Clark's place as a straight white player in a league made up of predominantly black players, many of them queer and out.
The American conservative class has really latched onto her as sort of like a great white hope. They can pit as sort of the David in this Goliath battle with the WNBA establishment.
Phoenix Mercury forward Alyssa Thomas falling on Clark's...
In the wake of the incident, Thomas received death threats, was vilified in certain media circles, and faced a steady stream of hate, both in person and online.
Now we're being painted as thugs, and there's death threats out on us, so it's really unacceptable.
People look for entertainment. That's what sports ultimately is. But the WNBA has been used as a vehicle for political agendas.
The latest league controversy has also landed in Clark's orbit. Fever teammate Sophie Cunningham ramming into the two fence poles of America's culture war, sex and race, saying in an interview that transgender players have no place in the WNBA. I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men. The comments fueled protests in arenas, online, and became fodder on cable news channels.
Chaos outside the Target Center on Sunday as trans activists harassed supporters of the WNBA star Sophie Cunningham ahead of the game.
Here's Cunningham up ahead of the field, lays it in, plus the foul, and then Cunningham gets into the face of Dejanay Carrington.
It boiled over when Cunningham took this hard foul from Chicago Sky guard Dejanay Carrington, who, after being thrown out of the game, quickly posted this on her Threads account. Carrington said it wasn't directed at Cunningham, but
I do think that she's speaking towards the frustrations of, once again, one group is being protected, or perceivably at least protected, and another group is not. Not just not being protected, but being attacked.
It took only a few seconds on a basketball court for a hard foul to become a much bigger fight over race, politics, and the WNBA itself.
The fierce fallout from all of these incidents, a signal, some say, of the league's growing impact and reach.
Another WNBA headline that's not about basketballs going into hoops.
Where pundits see value in using the league's stars as vessels for their political and cultural gripes and grievances.
Clearly, it has some power because you have these political entities looking to utilize the WNBA for their own gains. But certainly it does feel like in the US, so much of our everyday lives and conversations are about this very strict two-party political idea. And I think this is what you have showing a lot with Caitlin and Sophie and all of these issues is you're one or the other and you're not in between.
What's reflected online is
Hamilton doubts the attacks, the controversies, and the turmoil that have consumed this WNBA season would happen in any other league.
The WNBA is just an easy target. When you have like such a minority group that's playing in this sport, it's really easy. This is also the same minority group in society that's targeted the most. Think about it. Black people, women, and a lot of times LGBTQ plus communities. That represents all of it.
Behind the scenes, all of these simmering issues playing out loudly beyond the walls of the arenas have exhausted most players and coaches.
I'm going to start today.
This rant by Fever head coach Stephanie White indicative of league-wide frustration.
The hate, the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league will not win.
At the same time, the league has been plunged into a new reality, one with increased interest, bigger stars, and bigger scrutiny.
I think you can tell that everyone is very on edge about what narrative is going to come out of a single play that happens on a basketball court. And at this point, it seems like it can be any play that spirals out of control.
Many watching this story may wonder how in a league with so many good news on-court stories do these stories beyond the walls of the arena persist. People we spoke to for this story and many players across the league lay the blame squarely at the feet of WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, who they say has been absent in dealing with these issues, ducking many high-profile interviews or simply not showing up and allowing these issues beyond the basketball court to fester during the course of this WNBA season.
So, Jamie, that's a lot of criticism swirling around. How secure is her job?
I think right now her job is pretty secure because Cathy Engelbert, Adrian, is a businesswoman. That's her background. And right now her bosses, the league's owners, are doing quite well. Franchise valuations continue to go through the roof. Expansion continues to happen here in Toronto with a few more teams to come online in the coming years. So the league financially is healthy, and that's protecting Engelbert's job for now.
All right. Thank you for this. That is Jamie Strachan outside Toronto's Scotiabank Arena. Coming up, a warning for parents from an assault victim whose assailant became a summer camp instructor.
If I sent my kid to one of those camps, I would be really concerned.
Could gaps in the rules governing summer camps put your children at risk? We'll dig into that question next. They are just a staple of the season. More than 1 million children enroll in summer camps every year across Canada. For the kids, the camps offer fun activities that help build independence, confidence, and resilience. For working parents, practical daycare in what's assumed to be a safe environment. But for weeks this summer, a lead instructor at an Ontario hockey camp was a man who recently pleaded guilty to charges of assaulting children. As Christian Davino explains, a gap in provincial rules could be leaving your kid's summer camp unregulated.
Since KL Hockey started its summer camp last month, CBC News has learned one of its lead instructors continued to work with kids until last week, despite having pleaded guilty in April to 2 counts of assaulting children known to him. That instructor is Bradley Gibbs, a Durham Regional Police officer. CBC News spoke with one of the victims, who is now an adult.
If I sent my kid to one of those camps, I would be really concerned.
We've altered their voice and hidden their identity because it's protected by a court-ordered publication ban. They say Gibbs is a co-founder of the camp and believes the camp's owners knew about his guilty pleas.
They would never hire someone with a criminal record like that. So I think a lot of people would agree with me that him being fired from his job would be fair.
After CBC News reached out to KL Hockey and Gibbs, the camp sent an email to parents last week saying Gibbs would no longer be working at the camp. Given the recent attention surrounding this matter, Brad believes that stepping back is in the best interest of our players, families, and camp community, wrote camp director Amanda Tales. The email to parents included a letter from Gibbs saying he took full responsibility for a personal legal matter, saying he accepted accountability for my lapse in judgment. Neither Gibbs nor the camp elaborated what the legal matter was in their messages to parents. In a statement to CBC News, KL Hockey said it would not be making any further comments while the case is still before the courts. Gibbs did not respond to our request for an interview. In Ontario, there is no legislation requiring summer camps to perform security checks of their staff. The Ontario Camps Association says it requires its 400 members to perform criminal background checks, but its membership is voluntary. And the association says it does not mandate what action camp leaders should take after those checks are completed. And KL Hockey doesn't have to follow those same standards because it's not a member of the association. The Ministry of Education requires day camps for children under 4 to get a child care license. Each staff member has to complete a vulnerable sectors check, a deeper screening process that includes criminal background checks for anyone with positions of authority over kids. But camps for older kids don't fall under the ministry scope.
This is a big gap in the legislation.
Puneet Tiwari is an employment lawyer based out of Toronto. He says Ontario should be mandating vulnerable sector checks for anyone entrusted with caring for children.
Parents are entitled to expect a safe system. They are not expected to become private investigators. The camp bears the responsibility to screen, supervise, and act on relevant information.
The Ministry of Education would not provide answers to our questions asking why these types of checks are not mandated across day and overnight camps and whether there are any safeguards in place to ensure staff and volunteers at these camps do not have criminal convictions. CBC News also asked the Ministry of the Solicitor General whether the province would consider creating that legislation. We did not receive a response. Durham Regional Police told CBC News Gibbs has been redeployed from frontline patrol duties to an administrative role. It said it will determine whether he will be subject to a disciplinary hearing after the outcome of his court case. Gibbs is scheduled to be back in court for sentencing next month. Well, today after this story came out, the Ontario Premier's office issued a statement saying the province is making changes. It said parents deserve to know their children are safe at summer camp. The employment of a known criminal at a children's camp is unacceptable, and our government will be taking the action necessary to make it mandatory for summer camps to require criminal background checks. Adrian.
So, Christian, as I listen to the story, it makes me wonder, in the meantime, what are parents supposed to do to ensure that they're sending their kids somewhere safe?
It's really tough, right? You want to make sure your kids are safe going to these types of camps. And legal experts we spoke with say just because camps aren't necessarily part of this association, it doesn't mean that they're actually bad ones. All they're telling you to really do is to ask these types of questions, find out what the guidelines are, what they're doing to check and vet their staff as well as their volunteers to make sure that your children are as safe as they can be.
Okay. Christian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the first time in recent memory, bison are once again roaming the land in Star Blanket Cree Nation. The southern Saskatchewan community welcomed a herd this spring. Louise Bigeagle from CBC Indigenous was there for their arrival, and she shows us why their return fulfills a long-held vision for healing, education, and food sovereignty.
It's been 2 weeks since Austin Elliott and Mike Starr started their new jobs, looking after Star Blanket Cree Nation's new herd.
They have similarities to one another, except they're just more wild. You know, don't just get too close. Don't go in and mess around with them. That's basically it. And, you know, just be on guard. You know, they're just wild.
Yeah, they are.
Starr points out where the bison are in the distance today. He says they've settled in well since their arrival. but maybe a little bashful.
What we stepped into, we realize what it is, but we're ready to take on the challenge, and we have the land for it.
It was snowy, it was cold, the trails were muddy, but so many came out to welcome their newest members. "17 bison hauled in from Alberta." Ariane Starblanket thinks of her late grandfather and other elders from the community.
My late grandfather, who was the chief at the time, Chief Irvin Starblanket, he would talk about it and say, you know, someday we need to bring back the buffalo to the people for healing and for food sovereignty. And to have that bestowed upon us today is, you know, just one of the greatest legacies he left for us.
The Cree word for that is pekiwewak. They're finally home here in our community.
Sharon Strongarm brought her grandchildren to witness this historic moment.
It was just very emotional, very exciting, very, you know, oh man, you know, when you first see the first buffalo run out.
Tristan Starr-Denemy is part of the Bison crew. He's raised cows and horses, but this is something new. And there's more than one thing he's excited about.
Their calving process, you know, stuff like that. How we work these animals, you know, their vaccinations and everything. Probably that. That's probably the biggest excitement out of all of it, to see how it is, because it's going to be fast and they're big animals.
The bison are currently on 160 acres of land, with efforts already underway to expand that. And they will be an educational tool for generations.
I'm so excited for the future, and I'm excited for our young ones to really learn about the importance of the buffalo and what it means to bring them back, and it's going to empower our people.
As a father to a 2-year-old, Elliot says it's a blessing to be a keeper of these animals alongside his cousin and uncle.
In the future, I hope my son does follow into what we do too, is take care of the horses, cattle, and hopefully this too, because it's a good thing.
Louise Big Eagle, CBC Indigenous, Starblanket, Cree Nation.
Coming up, a Canadian golfer swings a once-in-a-lifetime shot.
Then I heard my brother say the word hole-in-one.
A beautiful moment caught on camera. Next. So this is Taylor Carter celebrating after he did something most golfers only ever dream about. He shot a hole-in-one. And not only did he make that incredible shot, he did it at Canada's Special Olympic Summer Games and brought home the gold. His ace makes our moment.
What? I was on hole 16. I was lining up my tee shot, and I was a bit confused on where the shot was going. Then I heard my brother say the word hole-in-one. I just really didn't know what to do or say, but I kind of freaked out. And I ran and accidentally body slammed my friend, which I wasn't really trying to do, but it was just crazy. And my sister was recording it. Every time I watch the video, it just makes me emotional, like I want to cry. It's that important. We had to calm down and try to regroup for the last 3 holes, and luckily I did. I've placed first in my division, which is incredible. It's still surreal. I'm overjoyed by it.
This has to be the best sporting moment you can imagine. He wins gold, he gets a hole-in-one, his nephew is the caddy, his sister is filming it, his entire family is there, and his best friend is cheering him on. Good on you. From all of us at The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.